Hi everybody, my name is Jeremy Siskind. I got these books here, Playing Solo Jazz Piano, a classic of the genre, and the Jazz Piano Fundamental series. I rarely do this, but tell you a little bit about each one. Book 1 is for really students who have not played jazz before, but already play piano. Book 2 is kind of a continuation of Book 1 that takes on some more complex concepts, gives you more options. And then Book 3 is all about modal and modern jazz. It takes it kind of from the very beginning. So if you like any of those things, check out that series. And today I'm going to talk with you about Pianist's most hated interval. Everybody hates this. Probably a lot of you hate watching this video because every time I talk about tenths, people get angry. And I understand why. Some people can't reach them. Some people can reach some tenths, but not others. Some people have hand size jealousy. There's a whole movement, which I think is beautiful, of creating smaller, thinner keyboards that can go into a piano so that people can reach different intervals. Like them or hate them, I think that tenths are a really important part of jazz piano. And I'm somebody who can reach some, but not all of tenths. And I use them a lot, both the ones that I can reach and the ones that I can't. And so what I want to talk about principally today is how to roll these effectively, like from a technical and a musical perspective. And then where are we going to use them if, for instance, we're playing kind of a, walking ballad, slower tempo, but in-tempo ballad. There's kind of a million applications. So first things first, let's just pause and talk about why I would say that tenths are so important. So tenths are so important because we have two essential tones in jazz that we need to put above the root, right? The third and the seventh. And of those two, the third is more important, right? So let's imagine that we have a C major 7. And if you've watched a bunch of my videos or a few of my videos, you might know that I believe one of the principal rules of jazz voicings is that you want to put the essential tones in the magic range. And this represents the magic range from the C below middle C to the G above middle C. So let's say we have a C major chord and we're playing solo piano. So we want to probably play the root, and then we need the third and the seventh somewhere. So if you want to do that all in the left hand, there's kind of two ways you could do it. Root, third, seventh. People know this often as a shell voicing or a bass shell. Like this, root, seventh, third. You could call it the same thing. And then you could come down here. You're just out of the magic range with that B. And you can hear, as you get out of that magic range, a little questionable, but not impossible. Okay, fine. So you got two good options, assuming that you can reach a tenth, but only one good option if you can't. Let's talk about B flat major. Okay, so B flat major, I can reach those. I can't personally get to that top D, but look, if you can reach that 10th, you could put the bass note all the way down here, right? And this makes such a difference. If you're trying to play a full sounding chord, that low bass just plain makes it sound nicer. Furthermore, tenths are really a part of this stride tradition. You've probably heard of walking tenths if you've been doing the jazz thing for a while. So playing tenths allows us to have more variety in our voicings, right? If we can't play a tenth, we can only play one kind of shell voicing. If we can, we could play at least two, and maybe in two different positions as well. And then it's going to allow us to play walking tenths, and it's going to allow us to have lower bass notes. Okay? There are some ways where the right hand can help out, but it's really not going to replace, in my mind, using that tenth. Okay, so let's say, as is the case for many of us, that we cannot reach all of our tenths. So we're going to roll them. And you'll hear people doing this different ways, but my philosophy and where I would start is roll from bottom to top. So the bass note first, and then the 10th. Okay. And if you're gonna put, if you're gonna put the 7th beneath the 10th, I'm a believer in playing the pinky first and then the other 2 notes. Second thing is this needs to be rhythmically precise. A lot of people, when they start to roll, are just like going, it could be anywhere, okay? And I recommend putting top note exactly on the beat. I'm not claiming this is the only way to do it, but this is where I would start. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, you could probably deduce, because you're all smart people if you watch this channel, that means you're going to play the lower note slightly before the beat. 3, 4. The way that I imagine this written, and you'll see this in especially Debussy sometimes, is as a grace note for the bass note tied over, and then the upper note is like a quarter note on the beat. 3, 4, grace note. Okay. So we're going to put that top note exactly on the beat, the first note ahead of the beat, or we'll say the bottom note ahead of the beat. Now, the first thing that usually happens when students start practicing this, especially if you're trying to put in a lot of tenths, is the hand gets tense. I'm trying to articulate because tense sounds a lot like tenths. So the hand gets tense, and that's normal, probably because you're trying to control and you're trying to stretch as far as you can to get that tenth. Okay. The way, or the best method that I've found in order to avoid the hand getting tense is to practice the tenths with an extra octave in between. I know that sounds crazy, but one of the things that this teaches your body is how far your hand can actually move. So instead of going from C to E flat here, I'm going to go from C to E flat here. So I'm basically doing 2 octaves plus a third. The accuracy, it's cool if you can do it accurately, it's kind of fun, but the accuracy doesn't necessarily really matter. Because what matters is as you move that extra distance, instead of trying to control, what's going to have to happen is your arm is going to have to move. You're going to have to kind of swivel from the arm. And this is showing you the most efficient way to do this, even when you have a smaller interval. Your arm obviously won't move as much, but it shows you that you actually don't need that much control as you play those tenths. Okay. And one nice way to think about it is to think about one motion, and this is a little weird, but work with me here. One motion that starts before the first note and continues through. You play the first note on the way and then grab the second note. So there's kind of a little like wind up or like breath in front, and then like imagine that you're plucking 2 notes of like a harp or a bass. You pluck through them with a little wind up. Same thing. What gets people in trouble is they start right on that first note and you just don't have any good energy going through it. Now, so practice that extra octave and think about a wind up or a single motion. Here's another practice tip. I just thought of this, which is fun. Not at all planned. Is use the same finger for both of the notes of the 10th. So that's going to keep you from, really stretching. And a lot of people have this like really tense muscle, I guess, in their thumb. So if you use, let's say, your pinky, practice. That's fun. And it's so easy. I mean, I don't mean to minimize anything, but like compared to trying to really control, and then you come back and do it with your thumb, and now this is really easy. Pedaling takes some concentration. So practice really nice and slow adding pedal, and the key to good pedaling is that you want to capture both notes to the 10th completely. We want to hear them together. Right, I hear a lot of this. I can't even do it. Not completely capturing that first note of the 10th, and that's kind of missing the point because we really want to hear the harmony created by these two notes. So if I start putting this into a ballad, like The Nearness of You, faster than that if I were actually playing. Just to prove to you that you can roll them all, I'm going to play the melody an octave up, and I'm going to roll them all an extra octave. Anyway, that doesn't really sound like much. So as an exercise, it's good to put tenths on every single beat. That's great exercise to get yourself used to playing tenths. So it can go on every single beat. In reality, it's pretty rare, not impossible, but pretty rare that I would put tenths on each and every beat. So what are some other ways to practice tenths? So one would be beats 3, 4, and 1. And what we're going to really be practicing is going from the strong beats to connecting to another strong beat. Right? 3, 4, 1. 3, 4. So what am I putting on beat 2? I'm putting a mid-register chord. So or we connect the other strong beats. Connect beat 1 to beat 3. And then the chord comes on beat 4. sometimes you can put that 7th in between the root and the 10th. And again, if you're rolling those, or you can practice alternating measures. So a measure of 4/10, which we would often refer to as walking tenths, and then a measure where you play quote unquote regular stride piano, bass, chord, bass, chord. I didn't do it that time, I fail. Of course, it goes without saying maybe that these are formulaic, and what you're just doing is you're getting your hand used to doing tenths in kind of different parts of the measure, which is a really good thing to be prepared for. So, in conclusion, tenths, really important part of the jazz left-hand voicing experience, really in all styles, but especially in those kind of older stylized styles that relate to stride, stylized styles. That's a good thing to say, right? So secondly, watch out for tension when you're rolling tenths, or even those of you who, can stretch your hand to reach tenths. If you're holding it open, you can find a lot of tension. So practicing these ways I showed you with an extra octave, and or using the same finger to practice that single gesture from the lower to the upper note. And then practice some different ways, different points in the measure that you can use these tenths. Connecting strong beats, 3-4-1, or 1-2-3, or alternating one measure of tenths, one measure of not tenths, so that you can put them in wherever the moment inspires you. If you enjoyed this, let's see, then why don't you give me a top 10 list, David Letterman style, of the top 10 of something that you're passionate about. That's a really big ask, but maybe some of you will come through. So thank you for watching my video on the world's most hated interval, the 10th. And if you like this, a lot of this kind of stuff is in Playing Solo Jazz Piano. That'd be a really good book choice for you. See you later, everybody.